My name is Melanie Wilson, and I am the president of Speak Up Summit. The League of Women Voters at Speak Up Summit are once again thrilled to sponsor this candidates forum with media sponsorship from thealternativepress.com. Our goal here today is to provide you with the information that you need to make an informed choice on November 8th. The forum will be moderated by Marlene Cicaglia from the Berkeley Heights League of Women Voters, and the review panel will be Diane Gallo, from the Vice President of the Summit League of Women Voters, Mike Shapiro from thealternativepress.com, and me. And Laura Coburn will be our timer, so she's the important one. You gotta make sure you guys aren't going over. We will begin with the mayoral forum with our Republican candidate, Councilwoman Ellen Dixon, our Democrat Eileen Foreman-Ludden, and Independent Councilman Mike Bernardo. Each candidate will deliver an opening statement, and everybody should have received a card at their seat with a pen, and if you need extra cards, they're over on the side table. But we are accepting questions from the audience, so just jot down whatever you'd like to add, and we will consider it. After the mayoral candidates speak, there will be a 15-minute break, and then we will have the 6 candidates for common council come on. Please tell anybody who could not make it to today's forum, although we are thrilled with this wonderful turnout, that it will be hosted on Hilltopper TV, which can be found on Comcast, on channel 35 and 964, and then on Verizon on channel 28. And we want to give a big thank you to Paul Sears and Summit Hilltopper TV for allowing us to broadcast through the schools. Also, thank you to our cameraman there, Joe Steiner, and we have Mark Wadman doing the editing of the show. It will begin broadcasting Monday evening, and it will show from 8:05 to 10:05 p.m. beginning Monday night, and then running 3 times a day on 9:35 in the morning and from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. And we will have the full broadcast schedule available on the Speak Up Summit website, which is speakupsummit.org. And we want to give a big thank you to the Grand Summit Hotel, the Hat Tavern, for generously donating all of the refreshments that we have outside. So if you go in there, please say thank you to them. Please enjoy today's forum, and most importantly, get out and vote on November 8th. So, you got nothing? Perfect, thank you.
The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization promoting democracy. Conducting debates like this one is one way we encourage informed and active participation in government. Your participation today helps us carry out our mission, and we thank you for coming. We'd like to make you aware that there is a constitutional amendment question on the November 8, 2011 general election ballot in New Jersey, authorizing the legislature by law to allow wagering on sports events at Atlantic City casinos and at horse race tracks. As a service to the voting public, the League of Women Voters of New Jersey Education Fund has prepared an analysis of the question with reasons to vote either for it or against it. It's a complex issue, and we urge you to take advantage of this resource to acquire the necessary understanding to cast an informed vote. We have copies of the summary sheet available at the entrance table for you. It's also available online at League of Women Voters, lwvnj.org, as well as an article in the Alternative Press. We also would like you to know that the League of Women Voters of Berkeley Heights, New Providence, and Summit welcomes new members, men and women, who support our mission and would like to participate in our nonpartisan educational efforts, and information and membership forms are available also at the entrance table. So without further ado, we're going to get started here. One of the things that I'd like to caution the audience is that audience questions and candidates' remarks must follow the League's policy of being concerned with issues and not personalities. We ask that the questions should address only those issues that come before this body, which would be the mayor of Summit or the common council, to be voted on. So the question should only address those issues. And that we ask that you hold your applause until the end of the forum. And please be sure that cell phones, cameras, recording devices are turned off at this time.
Do I turn this on?
We're going to be starting with opening statements. We're going to be going in alphabetical order for opening statements and then reverse alphabetical order for the closing statements. The candidates have up to 2 minutes in which to make their opening statements, and we will begin with Mrs. Dixon.
Thank you, Marlene. Can everybody hear me? Thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this debate today. And I want to thank everybody in the audience. It's a very difficult morning out there, and hello to everybody who will be watching this on TV. I'm Ellen Dixon. I'm finishing my second term on City Council. I think we've been excellent stewards of the city over the last 6 years. We have watched the tax rate. The year I came on council was up close to 8%. We've brought it down every year. Until the last 2, it has been under 2, and we're looking towards getting to a flat tax rate next year. I believe our city services have not suffered under the tightening of our budget. I'm particularly proud of our fire department. Was just accredited for only the second one in the state of New Jersey to be accredited for their acumen and the way that they run their department. The police department, I was participated in the process to choose a new police chief. I think the chief already has done an excellent job with starting patrols downtown. I think we all feel a little better seeing police walking the beat downtown. He's committed to doing that from 9 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. We have 46 sworn officers. I talked to Chief Weck yesterday and I said, are you comfortable with me saying that the 46 officers is the right number for Summit and you can work well within the city budget? He says, yes, absolutely. 46 officers is a good number for us. I think within the Department of Community Services, we've been able to go to weekly recycling. We've been able to keep our backyard trash pickup. All of those things help a lot in our daily lives. Our Department of Community Programs have gave us a wonderful summer at no cost to the taxpayers, fire marshals, concerts, and movies in the park. We've recently been named one of the 16 best towns to live in New Jersey. So all in all, I think we're in a very good shape. It's a very difficult financial environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Foreman-Ludden.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Speak Up Summit for hosting us today, and all of you for coming out to make your decision before you vote on November. I'm running for mayor because I really feel that Summit needs a fresh start. We're facing very tough economic times, and that means that taxes are the #1 issue facing us here at Summit. Our local government really has not done a good enough job tackling this problem with smart fiscal planning. There have been some reductions, but those are largely driven by state mandates, and we can do a better job. The reason we haven't had enough progress is really due to a lack of mutual respect currently on council and an inability to have productive collaboration. The bickering that we're having just won't cut it. Citizens really need to demand more of their elected local officials. I really feel that I'm well equipped to be the leader that Summit needs now to move forward on tough issues like spending. My profession is really helping people reach consensus, solve problems, and act on the decisions so that we are not wasting time revisiting the same problems over and over again. I have an undergraduate degree in business and international finance and finance from the George Washington University. I have 2 master's degrees from the University of Texas at Austin, one in communication and the other in business. I have more than 20 years of professional experience in market research, business consulting, and communication. And I've worked with organizations, retail, business-to-business, nonprofit, and government organizations. Compared to my opponents, my background uniquely qualifies me to actively and professionally seek to attract businesses to Summit that would really serve to support our rateable space, which is something that we have not made enough progress on recently. And I have experience in site selection and marketing locations. In the 11 years I've lived in, thank you.
And Mr. Renato.
Good morning and welcome. I thank you for your interest, and if elected, I will make every effort to get more and more citizens involved in discussing and deciding the future of our city. The purpose of government is to serve the needs of the public. It's not about what I want, it's about what you want. I'm running for mayor for one simple reason. I love this city, and I want it to continue to be the great city I grew up in. I've coached almost 1,000 of your children over the last 16 years. And I've always wanted each and every one of them to have the great experience growing up in this town that I did. A true leader finds out where the people wants to go, and then gets out in front. I fully understand that property tax is high on everyone's priority list. But this is Summit, and we cannot compromise that which made us great. We need to be fiscally responsible, but cutting budgets may be the easy way out, but it's often the wrong way out. If we need 2 more police officers and more shifts at the fire department to keep us safe, and if we need 1 or 2 more teachers to keep our class sizes where they should be, we must find the ways to do that. We must not diminish the quality of the services of our town to save a few dollars on property taxes. If we do, Summit will soon not be Summit. Being mayor is far more than an honor. It is a commitment to work hard for the public. I make a full-time commitment to you to do whatever we need to do in smart, cost-effective ways to keep our city safe and our schools strong. I will work tirelessly to expand our efforts in sharing services and redeveloping areas like Broad Street to bring in valuable revenue sources. I will find ways to keep the services we enjoy by being fiscally responsible. I will work with our seniors and our youth to redevelop the community center into a place where we can all go and spend meaningful time together in a very inclusive environment. It's not about showmanship, ladies and gentlemen. It's about leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first question. Lack of civility and courtesy at all levels of government concerns many. What would you do to improve the way Common Council members and you work together? And Mrs. Dixon will be the first one to respond.
This one has baffled me.
Okay, but 1 second. And 60 seconds. 60 seconds for a response.
It has been troubling. The last 2 years have not been fun. I truly believe our star here. We have 3 of us going off of council, and we have 6 new people sitting in the audience who want to be on council. And I can honestly say I know them all. I enjoy them all. I can work with all of them. And I will promise that we will have a more collegial environment in the future, and I can work with everybody who's elected as the people's choice. Thank you.
Mrs. Foreman.
Thank you. The way you have good behavior at council is to model good behavior. And I have a history and a track record of speaking respectfully to people. I am able to be tough. I attack issues, but not individuals. And that's true in both my interpersonal relationships and my written relationships. And I think that it is a wonderful thing to promise to be more civil in the future, but I would caution the voters that the best indication of future performance is past performance. And both of my opponents have a bit of a track record of lack of civility on council, which is something we really need to get away from. Thank you.
I think that the cause for the lack of civility isn't personality differences. The cause is the issues and the way people conduct business. Someone said to me when I was on the campaign trail, I remember it was a registered Republican or a registered Democrat, how can it be that all the people, if a Republican says one thing and votes yes, all the Republicans vote yes and all the Democrats vote no? On the other hand, how can it be that if a Democrat says yes, all the Democrats say yes, and the Republicans say no? This is about consensus building. I ask you to go to my website. There's an article, a position paper, the Mayor's Kitchen Cabinet. The way to conduct city business is before you get to the council chambers. The way to get public is to get public involved on the issues so that when issues come before the council, people are informed and they can make so. Thank you.
Question number 2. The mayor in a type 1 school district, as Summit is, appoints the school board members. What criteria will you use when making appointments to the Board of Education? And Mrs. Foreman-Ludden, you get to answer first.
Sure. So the appointments you look for in the board historically have been to represent each of the elementary schools and senior representation. But more than that, you're looking for a group of colleagues that can work together that bring some sort of professional expertise to the school district. It is, in fact, more than an educational process, it is running a business. So you need people that have financial background, operational background, people who understand the importance of curriculum development, socioeconomic diversity. I would look for people that have those backgrounds and would bring something to the school district that is a skill set that is needed, and vet those with existing and past board members to make sure that the collegiality to do the board work exists, regardless of political party. Thank you.
Mr. Bernardo.
Yes, as a proud alumni of Summit High, I certainly want to keep my alma mater the great place it's always been. Matter of fact, when I went to Summit High, the building on Morris Avenue was 6 grades. It was junior high, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and high school, 10, 11, and 12. We were the first junior class in what I still call the new building. It shows you what an old-time hilltopper I am. I think we have an outstanding Board of Education. I wish more people would go to Board of Education meetings to realize how hard they really work. They work far harder than Common Council, believe me. What I'm concerned about, quality education in the most cost-effective way. I think this Board of Education is doing a great job. I think they understand the pressures on the property tax dollars, and they're doing the best job that they can. And I will continue to seek appointments where, number one, financial responsibility is key. People that could bring new and creative ideas, and people that just cared about Summit. Thank you.
And Mrs. Dixon.
Well, as someone who has 3 children that graduated from Summit High School, I have been to many school board meetings, and I'll continue to go to meetings in the future. And as mayor, I'd like to give a school board report at the beginning of meetings. Right now, we do have 3 financial people on the school board. We have a McKinsey consultant. We have an top executive from J&J, etc. We have an excellent, well-regarded school board. You just have to look and try to figure out what piece is missing, who are the applicants that could possibly work with the schools. They help you find the qualified applicants, and it was something I will take very, very seriously as mayor in the next appointment. Thank you very much.
Next question. Do you feel that the Sunshine Law has been violated by recent email communications between council members? What will you do to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act? First answer is Mr. Monaco.
There's no doubt in my mind what's transpired. And I have to tell you, the council gets a series of lectures and discussions every year, from our insurance carrier to our auditors, to the special ethics session. My mind is simple. If you have to discuss the nuance of the law, you miss the point of the law. To me, there should be absolutely open and frank discussions in the public venue. That's what it's all about. And I said this repeatedly over and over again. I can find no reason to conduct business outside the public venue, because what you then get involved in is you get involved in people just with their own personal opinions, and that's, again, not what this is about. It's about you, what you want. And how can I discover that if I'm changing emails with people? I mean, there were 444 pages on one issue.
Mrs. Dixon.
I received an email. That was what 440 pages came out of. I didn't read it necessarily. I don't remember. I didn't respond to it. There was no deliberation involved. To have any kind of a violation, there has to be deliberation. We're in a society that's trying to go paperless. There's not a lot of legal writing on this issue. What about Facebook communications? What about texting? Have we looked at all the texting that goes on, even in council meetings? None of that's been looked at, so it's a whole new area, and actually, our last ethics course barely touched on it, and I was frustrated. I said, we aren't dealing with some of the other issues here. Can I respond on Facebook? Who's watching? Exactly what's going on. So I do think we need a refresher course. We need a lawyer who understands this law to give us a class on what, going forward, as we try to go paperless. And a lot of our communications are late at night when you don't want to call people, just trying to set things up, just sending out an email. So no, I don't think there was any major violation. I think maybe one council member said, if you even email two of our committees, you violated it. So I think we have to get clear on what's going on.
Thank you. And Mrs. Foreman-Ludden.
So I do think that there was an ethical violation. I have not seen all the emails. If I had an email come to me like that and I had a question about it, my next step would be to direct it to the attorney to find out if there was a violation. More to the point, I think that this whole issue talks to the lack of good governance and transparency that's existed on council. This kind of issue, this kind of this question about whether or not certain processes are followed properly is eating up all the time on the agendas at our council meetings, and we're not making efficient progress on other issues. I think it is incumbent upon council to volunteer job, but it's a job, and you do have to attend those trainings. And anybody that's worked in the real world in the last 10 to 15 years recognizes that electronic communications are discoverable. Anything you post on Facebook or Twitter is discoverable, and anything you are not comfortable saying in person should not be printed in those locations. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4. The Opportunity Scholarship Act establishes a school voucher system, basically using public funds to support students attending non-public and parochial schools. Where do you stand on vouchers? And Mrs. Dixon.
I think we have to be careful. It's not just a voucher system, it's also charter schools. And I wrote a piece on this, and please check my website. I have opinion pieces on many different subjects, but I did write one on charter schools. You do realize if a charter school came into Summit and attracted our students, we would be forced to pay that charter school 90% of the cost of a public education. So if we lost 100 to 200 students, you're talking $1 million to $2 million out of our school budget that we would not be able to recoup. The same thing, vouchers is a little easier to manage possibly, but again, it is our hit to our public school budget, and I'm all behind the public school system. Thank you.
Mrs. Foreman-Ludden.
So I simply do not support vouchers or charter school systems here in Summit. I think the educational system we have works very well. There are places that would be useful, but those typically are in municipalities that don't have good school systems and have a lot of disadvantaged youth that are not being served. In the case of Summit, I think it's simply not appropriate.
Mr. Bernardo.
I think one of the great problems in education in the state of New Jersey is the huge divide between the suburban schools and the urban schools. And whenever you go to educational issues, that's at the heart of every problem. Last year, for example, Summit got no state aid. State aid went to all the urban areas. Vouchers, charters, schools, they're good ideas that have very bad unintended consequences. Clearly, things like vouchers and charter schools have a place in the urban environment. And believe me when I tell you that it is critical that the children in urban environments get a good education. I mean, that's the hope and future of New Jersey. But you can't pass laws that on the one hand encourage something good for the urban areas, but then end up having a very negative effect on the suburban environments. So, a challenge to the legislators, you've got to come up with something better. None of these things are working. There's legislation pending for charter schools, 2 pieces of legislation, but they're not going to work. Thank you.
Okay. Question number 5. State-mandated programs are increasingly underfunded. How will you work with state legislators to ensure that Summit receives its due share of state funds? Be specific. And Mrs. Foreman-Ludden first.
So that's an excellent question, and it's not just applicable to the state, it also is applicable at the county level. And the first way you do that is you do it in groups. Summit is a wonderful town, but we're one of many, and you work in collaboration with these communities that look most like you. So in our case, in Providence, Berkeley Heights, Chatham, Melbourne, and you go with those groups. We see that happen with the Garden State Coalition, and you lobby together to explain the detrimental effects that happen to our town. And frankly, that's an area where our current council has been lacking with respect to county taxes, where we don't get our fair share. We have made some good progress in terms of shared services and some efficiencies here in Summit, and we need to really work to partner with our sister towns to go press Union County to adopt those same practices at the eastern end of the county. Thank you.
Mr. Monaco.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yes.
I was distracted with the answer.
State mandated programs are increasingly underfunded. How will you work with state legislators to ensure that Summit receives its due share of state funds? Be specific.
Thank you. I think to say that they're underfunded is a gross understatement. Most of these mandates are completely unfunded. Bobby Franks, who was a great assemblyman, actually a graduate of Summit High, great assemblyman and then a congressman, when he was in the assembly, developed legislation called state mandate, state pay. Clearly that's what has to happen. And what we're beginning to see, I think, on all levels is greater and greater public participation in the process. The way you get legislators to take action is not through some governing body of 6 or 7 people. It's you. It's you contacting your legislators. It's you being informed on the issues. It's you telling them, you got to do what's right for the state and our city. So the responsibility actually rests more with you than it does with any elected official. Thank you.
Mrs. Dixon.
Kind of a two-part question. The first part, there has been legislation like anti-bullying legislation, which our teachers have all been trained on recently. It's a mandate from the state. It was meant to do all the right things, but in talking to Nathan Parker and having gone to some of the workshop meetings, it cost the city, the school department, probably $20,000 to educate the teachers on this bullying. They have a system set up within the high school where, from what I hear from the students, they think it's kind of a joke. There's also a new one is on date rape. These are all things that are pushed into the schools that require a lot of time. Nathan Parker said he probably spent 20% of his time in the last week on this bullying legislation. I think it's gone too far as to putting this into the schools. It's taking away from all the education that we need to do. So I think we have to be careful about continually passing legislation with no way to implement it without it having a cost to the school system and the taxpayer. Thank you.
Okay, question number 6. Do you support maintaining an appointed school board? Why or why not? Mr. Monaco.
Thank you. Yes, I do, and it's because it's what the people want. Twice this has come up for a vote, and twice the public, you, have voted to keep the system that we have. I think one of the things that people look to for an elected school board is the fact that they get to vote on the budget. So they defeat the budget, then what happens? Then it goes to a group of people to deal with a budget twice the size of their budget that they have absolutely no information and basis to vote on. I mean, council has enough trouble dealing with its own budget. How can it possibly deal with a budget twice the size in a 2-week period? And you also, if council makes cuts, they have to be specific. They can't make arbitrary cuts. Otherwise, the board can not accept those cuts or they can appeal them. So this ability to vote on a school budget, I think, is not what people really think it is. I'm confident that we will continue to put good people on our school board, and that's all you can ask for, hard-working volunteers.
Mrs. Dixon.
I'm absolutely in favor of an appointed school board. You've seen this craziness with this election. Okay, you've got three candidates for mayor, 6 candidates for city council. How do you possibly have the time to go through, there's 9 candidates. What if we had 3 more or 6 more running for Board of Ed at the same time? There's only so much time in the day. Actually, the media is getting very fractured. It's hard to figure out how to even follow all these new candidates. So I think, and you ask most school board members if they would have served if they had to be elected. And the answer is no. Most people don't want to go through the election process, and we get much better people, I think, through the appointed process. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Foreman Ludden.
So I would have to agree with everything that's been said here, so let me add to it. Ideally, it would be great if we could vote on the school budget and we voted on our board members. In reality, what happens, that election is on a different cycle, so it does not actually occur at the same time. And the school district has to pay for that election. And usually, because it's on a different cycle, about 7 to 15% of the public votes for it. And in districts where that occurs, you end up with a lot of turnover at the level of superintendent, which is not good for the organization to constantly be changing leadership and direction. And you end up with a lot of single issue candidates who are interested in simply firing the superintendent over some interpersonal difference they have on their child's education, or simply to lower taxes. So in reality, a professional appointed school district has worked very well for Summit. Thank you.
Okay. Question number 7. The mayor appoints the planning board and sits on the planning board. What goals do you have for the planning board with relation to implementing the master plan? And Mrs. Dixon, you go first.
That's correct. I think it's one of the mayor's most important appointments, and our last 2 mayors have chosen not to sit on the planning board. I would very much like to sit on the planning board. I think you're more involved in the process. You get to see the application up close. We haven't been able to get, I'm hoping we're moving towards getting our planning board meetings on TV, but we really have only done 1 or 2 so far. So, what was the rest of the question?
It's goals you have for the planning board with relation to implementing the master plan.
Okay. I think we have to have a meeting once a year to see if we are on course to, with our master plan, and we have to, I think we have another one coming up in another couple of years, look and see what has worked at our master plan, what needs to be looked at again, and it's very important because it's a blueprint for the future of our community.
Thank you. Mrs. Foreman Ludden.
I would say I strongly disagree with Ms. Dixon on this issue. I think that it is actually poor governance for the mayor to choose to sit on the planning board. I think that my key objectives for the planning board would be to attract more businesses to Summit, to increase our rateable space, to take the pressure off of us from a tax-related perspective. It would be very difficult for me as mayor to go out and attract and recruit businesses to come to Summit, and then also sit on the planning board and vote in favor or against their particular application. I think it's actually quite easy for the mayor to stay apprised and be involved in the process without actually sitting on the board. So I think that that is an area where we're actually better off separating those 2 functions and appointing somebody that has professional capabilities and expertise at the planning level. Thank you.
Mr. Veronica.
Thank you. I would absolutely sit on the planning board. My background, I'm trained and educated as both an architect and an engineer. I spent the first half of my career actually as a planner. So it's something that I very much enjoy. Spent the last half of my career as a real estate developer, large-scale commercial and retail and residential projects, nothing in this immediate area. So I have a special expertise. And I think one of the things that all communities must realize is that we're all in this together. Real estate developers are not the enemy. We need ratables, and we have a lot of opportunities here in Summit for some redevelopment. We need to figure out ways to work together with developers to attract new commercial and retail sources here. We need the revenue, and if we do it right, it can be a win-win for the communities and for the developer. And they're entitled to make a profit. There's absolutely nothing wrong with making a profit in this country. Thank you.
Question number 8. What will you do to expand ways to keep the public informed of the issues that affect them and the city? And Mrs. Foreman Ludden, our first to answer this.
So I believe strongly in communicating and being an active listener, and I think there are many ways that we can do that. Obviously, new technology, the media, and the internet is one, but simply having an open door policy and encouraging more residents to come to council meetings and express their views, making sure that when you come before the podium at council meetings to speak, you are treated respectfully by the council members, which is not always occurring today. I would have, the city is interested and is going to put forth surveys to get more input from residents, but I would actually have outreach to residents to ask them to become more involved, and not just at council meetings, but across the board, to take more interest in our Board of Education meetings and our planning meetings and so forth. I think that Michael's idea of a kitchen cabinet is interesting. However, I have some concerns about the visibility of that kind of organization.
And Mr. Donato.
Yes, again, I asked you to read my position paper on my website, but briefly, what the Mayor's Kitchen Cabinet is to get together a group of 12 to 15 people in this community, regardless of party politics. I don't care whether you're a Republican or Democrat. All I care about is, do you care about this community? Do you have some ideas you want to contribute? And to be able to get together on a monthly basis to sit and talk about the issues that are important to everybody. And one of the most important aspects of that is, we all have our own network. By getting together 12 or 15 people, you're getting together 12 or different 15 networks. Everybody can reach out into their own network. So individuals that are concerned about education, individuals that are concerned about redevelopment, individuals that are concerned about safety, they'll reach out into their network, and then you'll have a vast array of contact into the public arena. And then when important issues come before council, people will be educated, informed, and can participate.
Mrs. Dixon.
It is getting, as more media outlets we have, it's harder and harder for everybody to feel they're informed, I think. I would like to start off council meetings with the mayor's comments, including the synopsis, what has happened in the county in the last couple of weeks, what has happened at the school board level. And I think even at the school board, they have a lot of meetings, but we don't have a lot of public attendance. I'd love to get to have more of our consumers of education in this town come to more of the meetings. As mayor, I will maintain a very active website. I hope you'll follow me on Facebook and Twitter. It sounds silly, but I think it would be kind of interesting to be able to say, here's what the mayor's doing today, follow me, let's see what the Halloween parade is happening, and we've got to cancel it today, and keep an active dialogue that way. But it is more of a challenge in this environment with the online media, the cable, and the independent press to figure out how you best, I think you have to go with all of the outlets to keep people informed. Thank you.
Question number 9. Regarding commercial ratables in Summit, what would you do to improve and fill downtown with vibrant businesses? And Mr. Fernando.
Well, first of all, people keep talking about the downtown. The downtown has a 95% occupancy rate, plus 95% occupancy plus in the retail. We've got a great new project going on in Summit Place, the old Summit Medical Group. To me, the areas that need attention and focus are the areas beyond the CRPD. At a site which hopefully is going to get redeveloped on River Road that's sort of been a little bit of a blight on the community for several years. We have plenty of opportunities along Broad Street, from extending all the way from Morris Avenue down to Ashwood, just ripe for redevelopment. There were discussions in the gateway proposals for residential, but the residential market has significantly changed. So I think we need to rethink that and look at commercial and retail along that corridor. They bring much more revenue, and they don't bring school children, which unfortunately, when you do residential development, school children costs offset the revenue.
Mrs. Dixon.
I think we've tried hard as a council to do things that would be favorable for development downtown. We have expanded the use of what's allowed on the first floor. As our world changes and so many people shop on the internet, what people are coming to Summit for is often the bar method, hot yoga, facials, Botox even, I don't know. But I think more and more that's the type of institution we'll see on the first floor. And as long as it keeps our town active and it keeps a a good mix of retail, I don't think that's a problem. SDI is doing a better job of marketing. We have some excellent new stores coming in, as Michael said. We have 95.6% occupancy right now. We're doing more with Girls Night Out. We had a Shop to You Drop the other night, although it was very rainy, so I don't think it was that well attended. But I think there's a new vibrancy downtown. I think more and more we'll have more development for residential units downtown, and we'll have more of a core going forward as some of the place opens up to keep our downtown vibrant. So I'll continue to do as much as I can for our downtown.
Thank you. Mrs. Conley.
So across Summit, not just in the CRBD, we obviously need more focus on attracting businesses that improve our ratables. But as far as the downtown goes, I can't agree that a 96% occupancy rate says that our downtown is as healthy as we would like it to be. The way we've shopped has changed in the last 10 or 15 years, and as a result, the stores that we see downtown tend to be more service-oriented. And some of that is great. I use the nail salons, I go to the hair salons and the restaurants and the banks, but we don't need more of those. We need more diverse, less duplicative businesses. And frankly, every time we attract a service-oriented business downtown over a retail business, that puts more pressure on our parking, because when you go to service stores, you stay there longer. We need a better mix of businesses downtown that are both service and retail, and we need a parking solution that focuses on all our parking, that treats our parking as a portfolio, not just one lot here and another lot there. Thank you.
Next question. How can we reach out to Summit's Latino community? Summit is becoming increasingly diverse. What are your plans with respect to the Mayor's Committee on Diversity? And Mrs. Dixon?
Robert Weck, our new police chief, has an idea that he wants to establish a community relations board. And I think we get people to represent all sectors of the community, to have meetings and move those meetings around, whether we have meetings on Park Avenue, Broad Street, any different spot in town, to bring in some new people who feel that they're part of the town and have a real vested interest. I know we had an interesting block party the other night that was almost too heavily attended. I think the population didn't understand what a block party was about, and how that it shouldn't be done to such a large degree in a residential neighborhood. But I think we have such an interesting mix of nationalities in this town. I really look forward to working hard with all of the new groups that are in town and trying to make them feel that they're part of the Summit mainstream. Thank you.
Mrs. Foreman-Levin.
Yo no hablo español, si antes habla despacio, puedo entender. I don't speak Spanish, but if you speak slowly, I can understand. And I think the major thing you do is you have communication. I would continue the Mayor's Forum on Diversity. I think that has been an excellent addition, and it's really taken what I really found the silver lining in a cloud that was hanging over Summit. I, like most of you, moved to Summit because of the diversity, not just in ethnicities and religions, but socioeconomic and age. I think part of the diversity that we have in Summit that we haven't talked about yet tonight is our seniors. So I think more communication, more forums on diversity, more outreach and inclusion in all of our communications is needed. And I think that's one area where our current mayor has made a tremendous amount of progress in the last 8 years, and I've been very proud of it.
Mr. Bernard.
Thank you. Summit has always been very diverse. It's the reason I wanted my son to grow up here. My son's adopted. He's 25% African American, 25% Latino. So I get it, trust me. When you speak of the Latino community, you have to be very careful, because the Latino community is a very diverse community unto itself. It's not like it's just one group. One of the great things that I think is going to happen in this community, and I'm very hopeful of, is when I first came on council, I was concerned that we were spending virtually no money on seniors and a lot of money on the youth services program that had mixed results. We're now looking at the potential of selling the old youth services center, expanding and remodeling the community center, and then put youth and senior together. One of the sidebar advantages of doing this is that the majority of the Latino community is in East Summit. So with the facility in East Summit, we'll be able to further outreach Thank you.
And the final question is the following. Do you think there's a drug problem in Summit? If so, how do you think the city and police are handling it? And Mrs. Foreman-Ludden first.
So there's a drug problem in every community across the United States. And it's not always just the alcohol and the marijuana that you think of. It's prescription drugs, it's everything. And I think that we have a DARE, our police have a DARE program. We have a lot of outreach to the youth. I know that, that DUIs are an issue for the police, but it is something that is endemic in every community. And it is both education and enforcement related. So that means ensuring that we have enough education resources and we have enough police and emergency forces focused on that. We actually, here in Summit, have the benefit of having the hospital located here, and we have other services that are not-for-profit and non-governmental that are able to assist us in providing that outreach.
Mr. Donato.
Yeah, sadly, there is a drug problem here in Summit, and I agree that it's everywhere. One of the most effective tools in combating drugs was the Union County Task Force. Unfortunately, street gangs have gotten into drug business, and sort of taken away from organized crime, which has been stamped out. Sadly, towns have cut police forces. We've cut ours over my strenuous objections. All towns have. Union Township, just hired back 4 police officers because they realized the folly of not having enough police and paying vast sums of overtime, and they've estimated they would save $25,000 by hiring more police officers back. What we need to do is communities need to hire back the police officers that we've lost and reinstate the Union County Task Force. That is the single most effective tool we have in fighting drugs.
I think our new police chief, who I see is more progressive on community policing, has already made a difference. And in this area, I know there was an incident the other night where, and it was at the train station, where something happened with a purchase. And the person was caught and arrested. And I think it made all the difference in the world that we have police walking downtown in our trains, outside the train station, walking the streets, watching what's going on with some of the youth. I'd like to get to know more about the DARE program, see how effective it is, see if it needs any changes, and work with the schools on the drug program. But I think our new police chief's focus is on community policing, being out there, walking the beat, and I think that will really help the drug problem in Summit.
And now we go to the closing statements. They're 2 minutes in length, and we start with Mr. Donato.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, Speak Up Summit, and the Alternative Press for hosting this event today. But mostly, I want to thank you all for participating in a very important process. In the closing days of the campaign, I ask you to go to my website, MikeRonato.com. There are 37 articles and position papers on the critical issues that most concern the residents of Summit. What you will see is definitive positions on items most important to you and your families. These are the things that you and I have discussed in the past months and years as I have knocked on 18,000 doors throughout this city in the past 6 years, trying to represent you and your interests. You have a unique opportunity on November 8th. You can vote along party lines, or you can look to the qualifications of the candidates and maybe send a message to partisan politicians everywhere. I will always seek advice from anyone, regardless of their party, as long as their motive is purely to do what's best for Summit. I will continue to knock on your doors to learn about your hopes, your desires, and what you want for the future of your city. I will reach out to other cities in the county to expand our efforts in sharing services. I will make every effort to restore the cuts to public safety that have made us less safe. I will reach out to our great Board of Education to ensure that we have the best education we can at the least cost. I reach out to private organizations to raise money and seek grants to offset taxes. I will reach out to developers to bring in new ratables for additional revenue to offset property tax increases. And above all, I want this to be the city you want it to be. Your vision is my vision. With me, it's all about Summit, all the time. Thank you, and above all else, please exercise the greatest right the world has ever known. Please vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Mrs. Foreman Ludden.
So I want to echo Mike and thank the League of Women Voters and Speak Up Summit for hosting the event today, and also for TAP for video streaming it for those of you that couldn't be here in person. This November 8th, there's not a lot going on nationally. There's not a gubernatorial election, but 4 of the 8 positions, elected positions in Summit, are going to be decided. That is half of our government. And I think that it is time for a fresh start. We need to move away from the bickering and the poor governance that has characterized our current council. We need open transparency so that we can focus our time on the agenda items that really matter to Summit. And the number 1 is taxes. We need to do a better job holding down taxes, not only at the city level, not only in here in our school systems, but also at the county level. And both of my opponents have had a hostile relationship with the county. I would argue that we need to partner with our sister townships to go to the county where our taxes have gone up 24% during their term, to do a better job and find out how we can get more efficiencies at that level. We need to do a better job keeping our seniors here in Summit, and we can do that by focusing on affordability, but also by better coordination of existing services that could be accomplished with absolutely no cost to taxpayers. We need to protect our already strong schools with a board that focuses on measurable outcomes for student performance, and we need to take a strategic approach to downtown instead of a reactive approach that includes a strategic approach to who we attract in the terms of the businesses. Summit's a great small city, but we're facing tough fiscal times ahead, and we have to be able to work together instead of against one another. With your vote on November 8th, I look forward to being part of the fresh start. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Dixon.
Again, thank you everybody for coming on this very rainy morning. I think everything we need, we have here in Summit. We have excellent schools, walkable neighborhood, walkable safe neighborhoods, a wonderful downtown. We're a transit village. But is this really who we are? All this bickering that's gone on? I don't think so. And believe me, when I was council president, people would say to me, would you please try harder to get these people to stop? And I'd say, no, everybody should be heard. I don't have any problem with that. And I really don't have any problem getting along with whoever gets elected. We have 6 wonderful people that are running. They all have families, they all have lives. And frankly, if this keeps up, next year I wonder, are we going to have 3 more or 6 more people that are interested in running in these positions? Because believe me, it does take a toll. You wake up to breaking news alert, and you find that there's this bickering that's going on that is very, very unproductive. So I promise that I will respect everybody, I'll work hard with everybody. Don't forget, we have 3 people going off council, 3 brand new people coming onto council. I think you want an experienced mayor at the helm with all this change that will be going on. So I'd be very happy to be that experienced mayor. I promise that I will get along with everybody and change the atmosphere to as collegial as possible. I'll be an internal mayor who will work closely with everybody and our committees and our city staff that I know very well. And I will work hard externally with being a cheerleader for the city, trying to improve relations with the county. I do know a lot of people at the county, and we go back and forth. They can take it, I can take it. And I know who to talk to. I will try hard to work better with the county, certainly in special areas. And I'll try to work with the governor to say, is there a way to change county government? Because going forward, their increases are going to be up a lot more than ours. And I'm really worried that someday we're going to be facing a city budget that is 20% city, 30% county, and 50% for the schools. So thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you. I think the mayor candidates deserve a round of applause. We'll be taking a 10-minute break and then coming back and hear from the candidates running for common council. 10 minutes.